I'm sure everybody has been reading the news in terms of artificial intelligence, and there's either a shock factor around artificial intelligence or huge amounts of benefits. So in terms of expanding attack service, we have got, and in terms of the real estate, is the Internet of Things. So your heating and fire sensors, for example, where vendors are very, very poor at implementing security. So most, if not all, have no access passwords or controls, which leaves them open to abuse by bad actors. Development and availability of deepfake and video voice, which makes it very, very easy to create messages with content that accurately mimics the language, tone, and design of legitimate emails or even the CEO's voice, and the creation of lifelike videos of anyone in terms of asking for an invoice payment, for example. And it's probably worth noting, actually, a lot of the images and videos are actually mainly sourced by social media accounts. So you should always be very aware of what you put on your social media accounts, because the deepfake developments, that's where they get the content from. And then in terms of artificial intelligence developments, it's making it ever easy for bad actors to create ransomware as a service model, which again makes it easy for these to be purchased as a service model with very, very little in terms of technical skills. So the attack service is expanding rapidly in many areas.
And when you mentioned service model there, Amy, you literally mean that somebody who wants to do something bad can almost sort of go online and choose from a catalogue of services.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So they can go on and pick a ransomware as a service model with no technical abilities, be able to actually create a ransomware attack and just point it at their target.
And Andy, would you sort of, what else would you add to that in terms of the increasing risk, both from an operational point of view, but also from the point of view of a building?
I think Amy's captured most of it really well there. I think the only thing I would add is, from what I'm seeing in my own company and maybe a few peers, is that I think maybe the industry is ready to go to the next level of technology adoption, whether it be AI or data. So as well as where the threat actors are, we are possibly going to see an explosion in the use of technology in our buildings to try and make the operations more efficient, to try and make us go into new markets and revenue growth, whatever those business drivers are. It looks like, the industry is ready for a real step up, and therefore we need to be ahead of the game and not just put technology in, which increases our risk above our opportunity, to be honest. So I think as a market or an industry, that's what I'm seeing at the moment.
And Amy, you've worked across lots of different sectors. How mature or otherwise do you feel real estate is in the way we're tackling this threat?
I would say it is fairly immature. I think there's a lack of understanding around the impact of cyber in the real estate. And that obviously means that because there's a lack of understanding, it's not a talking point across the organisation. So therefore, you're not building that awareness in, which does mean you're open to a cyber threat. And I have also seen in terms of not getting the basics right as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think the industry does have some immaturity issues. I think where we do need to make gains is how we present this risk to boards of companies, and that is, it must really be articulated as a business risk rather than a technology risk. It's really easy for this to be seen as a tech risk when presented by Amy. I don't mind you saying, tech is like us. It's easy to be perceived as a techie issue, a technology issue. This is a real business challenge, not a tech challenge. I think if we do create that proper basis for the conversation. We can have much more constructive conversations with boards, because we have to recognise that there's different audiences, and boards have different languages to technologists, and we need to establish that common ground. We shouldn't assume that boards are totally familiar with the cyber threat to their risks and their organisations, and it's down to us to portray the general and specific cyber risks of the organisation in business terms, not technology terms. Sometimes it's nice to have an ally on the board. If you can identify a board member, if you're lucky enough to have someone who understands it and is familiar, it's worth having a conversation, building a rapport. But other than that, you may find, our job is to try and increase the general awareness of cybersecurity issues on boards. One of the ways we can do that is with some of the toolkits that are available. The National Cyber Security Centre, UK government organisation, has published a toolkit for that very purpose. It may be really easy for boards to use that, but obviously they're very busy people. Trying to get commitment in time and investment for them to do that is not easy. But that's what we should try and have as a basis. I just want to add a couple of points, and that is really, when we do have the conversation with boards as well, it's really easy just to fall into using scare tactics. And that can be counterproductive. We have to try and win the support of boards, not scare them into submission for the problem. Because if we can articulate how being a secure organisation can help achieve business objectives, that does get people on side, and it's a bit more of a positive journey as well. So when we do speak about it, it's really about speaking about the impact of P&L, about share price impacts, property valuations, operational impacts. All of these hopefully makes it easier to understand it is a business risk, not a tech risk.